Tell me about what happened.
Well, I was in the bathroom. We had guests staying. We were all going to a wedding the next day, and there was almost like being nudged out of this perspective into another sort of almost parallel perspective, a very familiar perspective. As soon as it happened, there was a real rush of, oh my goodness, how could I have forgotten this?
Mm.
There was also familiarity. There was relief in a way that, you and I had spent a lot of time on these books, and I think there was an element of relief that you weren't talking rubbish.
So during them, you thought I might have been.
I suspected you weren't, but it was real confirmation.
No, I understand that. So let's talk about the familiarity thing first.
I mean, one thing I remembered, it has happened in bathrooms a lot. Don't know why.
Yeah, I think that's a red herring.
Is it?
Your spiritual path is you're going to always have to be near a bathroom to progress spiritually. So I'm afraid that's just the way it is. My intuition is telling me that about you. And that's unfortunately the way it is on your particular path in this lifetime. That's a total red herring.
Right.
Obviously, it's within you, it's not the circumstances outside. Okay. It's triggered because you are ready, something in you is ready.
Right.
But the familiarity thing is interesting. So what does that mean? It's really another way of saying somewhere inside, as the first book, as Story of You talks about, this is how we all begin in the original state. So from my point of view, the familiarity is an outcome of that. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's very different from other spiritual or similar spiritual experiences I've had.
Shall we just define spiritual? Because obviously it's coming up a lot. My definition of spiritual that I use in the two books that we use is something or an experience that is outside or beyond personality. So when we say spiritual, we're not necessarily talking about angels or all the things that most people associate with it. We're talking about an experience beyond personality and everything that includes, which is what the two books are about.
Interesting. I mean, now that you said that, it makes me think the experience I was talking about was not necessarily beyond personality.
Okay.
Because I think there was choiceless awareness, some choiceless awareness in this experience I was thinking of, but there's also possibly the personality getting excited about it all. I don't think that excitement probably was not from beyond personality. The one in the bathroom, there was stillness.
Yes.
Whereas in the other one, I think there's a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
The ego getting excited and making the experience mean things.
I watched a programme last night, which was a documentary about Alistair Campbell, the British politician, and he has a history of depression. And many years ago now, he had a serious breakdown, a psychotic kind of breakdown. So in this programme, he was looking into possible causes and things that could possibly help other than taking the drugs that he's constantly on. There was a video of a guy who was being administered psilocybin therapeutically. This was a guy who suffered abuse and from his father, so really sad case. So he'd had depression all his life. He was desperate, so he tried this therapy. Video went from him being very scared to suddenly laughing. And Alistair Campbell said, what happened there? Do you remember what you were thinking when you laughed? And the guy said, yeah, I do actually. I was thinking, I had the thought about my father coming into my room at the moment. So Alistair Campbell naturally said, but you were laughing. And he said, yeah. And he couldn't quite, it seemed so illogical, but you could see him kind of chewing into what had happened. Mm. Somehow what the drug had done to him was taken him to a place where he said, for some reason, I didn't have the fear. And I saw it from a distance, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. Now, I thought that was for someone who suffered so badly, to suddenly gain that perspective, which for me chimes totally with when I talk about life beyond personality, because there is the personality, there is the story, there are the emotions, there's the pain, there's the wound, there's all that. and there is choiceless awareness. This, what we're talking about, is something that is outside, hence the definition of spiritual, that arena. So much so that even though that was so bad, he laughed. His body laughed. It wasn't a forced thing. I mean, you saw it on the video. So this is the perspective we're talking about. Here's the life which includes the wound and the suffering and the busy mind and all the problems, right? And here's a perspective that is beyond that. And it is real. Now, this is a guy who, I don't know anything about him, but he was, having a hard time. He was on antidepressants, and his life was blighted by this early thing that happened to him. But he had a 3-month period where the force of that drug, the effect of it, had given him a certain liberation from that suffering for a while. Then it came back. But the important thing for me, the point is that it illustrates that even in a suffering that is so bad, there is a view, a perspective outside of it that can be gained. Now, I'm not so interested in talking about, can you use drugs to do that? For me, that's not really the natural state, because it's induced. Whereas the natural state, by its name, is natural. It's who we are.
Right.
So if you're relying on something outside, you're walking into other problems of addiction and need and stuff. So, but the important thing for me is that it's showing the possibility, and what a clear demonstration that there is another perspective.
The opening reminded me of a way of being, that I can tune into at times.
It's so easy that one to turn this into another, when I get this, I'll be happy. But it's hard to talk about this without it appearing like that. But what I'm trying to convey is the fact that when you had those moments, you actually didn't do anything. It wasn't anything to do with your personality trying to avoid suffering,
right,
or trying to reach that place that you know. Am I right?
Yes.
So this is an important point, because this is beyond hope. It's beyond trying, and it's beyond personality, meaning that you can't induce it.